Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. If you are just joining us, you are right in time for the next discussion from that fantastic discussion that Ram just had right there on Matters Political Watch. We now want to switch gears and go to Matters ICT and the film industry here in Kenya. And to help us with this discussion, we have the Cabinet Secretary for ICT here in studio with us, Mr. Joe Mucheru. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Happy to be here.
We are glad. So if you are at home and you have any questions, or from wherever you're watching us from, if you have any questions in regards to matters to do with ICT and this film competition that is currently happening here in Kenya, please feel free to interact with us through our social media platform. The hashtag to use is hashtag Good Morning Kenya, our official station handle at KBC Channel 1 and at KBC Television. My personal handle at Jane Wamboy, and my colleagues as well at Ray Manyara and at Ram Aguko. Now, we do expect questions from the public, so as they come, we will be sharing them with you.
That's expected.
Yes.
They're always asking on social media, so... Yeah.
Yes. All right. So in the past, let's start with this script writing competition, because it's something that is there, and maybe for the benefit of the public, not most understand what it's all about. So in the past week, we saw the Ministry of ICT through the Kenya Film Classification launch a 2 million script writing competition. Tell us a bit more about that. What is this script writing competition all about? So
it's the Kenya Film Commission, because we have various film departments.
Yeah.
You've got the Film and Classification Board, which Ezekiel Mutua leads, and that's very popular. But we also have the Film Commission, and they have a film school, and we also have the Department of Film. So film recently moved back to the Ministry of ICT, and film is very important for Kenya. And so we have a program and a plan of how we can expand the use of film, how we actually employ a lot of people. And we decided one of the first things we'll do is go into script writing. Yeah. So we started this competition so that we can engage everybody to ensure we have the right stories. And so they will give us what they call a log line, just first of all, just describing what is that film about. They will put that. So Kenya Film Commission has a website, kenyafilmcommission.com. This is where people submit this the scripts. Yeah. The scripts. So they usually would give in the script a log line, and then after that, the people that will actually look at all those scripts will then pick, and eventually you will actually get a full treatment and a program that can actually now come up with a film. So we are creating this competition because, one, it creates the visibility. Two, it allows people to actually tell the different stories, many stories that are required. So that's why we've started, but it's one of the many programs that we're looking at rolling out to ensure film is at the center of everything that we're doing. So just now we are seeing the scripting, then maybe in future we'll see now the entire production competition in terms of production coming into play? So from the stories, once we have the right stories for blockbuster movies, we'll now go into making the actual movies. Into producing it. We'll produce, and we'll go in ensuring that we have the infrastructure, we have the things required to come up with the right productions so that they are global quality. We'll work on making sure we have distribution. Smart Africa now is over 600 million people. So we're going to work on distribution within Africa, distribution within China. We're having very close discussions with the Chinese on that distribution. We're also looking at building movie theaters. So I've been talking to some of the governors, and they're keen to have film. It's an idea they're willing to take on and run with. They want now to create, the culture of going to watch movies disappeared. It's people are watching, it's still foreign. They're watching on their phones now, they're watching at home. Actually, there's a lot of benefit in just interacting and going to theater, because you can do film and other things within the theater. So some of the governors are already keen to take on this area because, it brings out our culture, it brings out who we are. And so it's a very important aspect of our lives. Yes. And what were some of the other decisions that, facilitated coming up with this decision of having a script writing competition and partnering with even another country, just putting it all together? So two things. One, if you look at many of the movies that have originated from Kenya, that are done by Kenyans, we tend to bash ourselves. We don't tend to be very positive about who we are. We look at the negatives, the downside of it. And why? And that is exactly what the others do. So you'll find almost every movie, they show you just Kibera. They will not show you the rest of, why won't they go to Nyahururu or go to Kisumu, show other ways of how we live. So we spent some time with some of these people in the movie industry, in the country, and they were surprised to go to the different parts of the country, the beauty of Kenya, then the people, the way we live, the freshness of the air. Then they even talk about, because we are at the equator, the lighting. Kenya has a unique sort of lighting based on just being at the equator, the sun. Yeah, so there's certain things. So some of the big blockbusters, you know, out of Africa and such, came and were done here because, again, we have the scenery, we have nature, and then we have the people.
All this fantastic scenery that is not highlighted.
Yes, and we have also the skills. A lot of our people are being used also in many other countries to produce movies. Why don't we actually do the same here? Lupita should be a star even from here, not just...
She'll feature in one of the big movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should be doing them here.
All right. And which are some of the different ministries that are involved in just this whole competition as a whole?
It's government as a whole.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ministry of Tourism is
comes into play.
Is very keen to see that we attract as many tourists as possible. People need to know that Kenya exists. They need to see the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
They need to see our stories. And so if we tell our stories, people will come and see. So that is why I think you'll hear from many people that everything happens in Hollywood. If you've got aliens from Mars, they come to Hollywood. Whatever is happening, it happens there.
Yeah.
You know what? It
Why
can
shouldn't
happen here in Kenya. Lion King, Wakanda. You look at all this, they're basically from here.
Yeah.
But we're not capitalizing ourselves. So the president has been very keen to make sure that we as Kenya take advantage of what we have and even sell that to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So that's why there's support from all of government. It's not just my ministry or tourism. It is all of government.
The entire government is on board with this idea.
You know, if you look at Ministry of Education, we're looking at how film can be part of the curriculum. It's not that it should be out.
That would be a fantastic
Because
idea.
it used to be part of the curriculum, but when it came out and became optional, then we started losing out. Actually, I think that's when things really began to change. So that now people are working for themselves on what to do with film. It wasn't part of the national agenda. So we're putting it back to make sure that it is there. It will help us also preserve our cultures. You know, right now we import content.
So much.
We should produce our own.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, this competition is in partnership with the Chinese government. Now, just from this conversation, the American market is leading in terms of film and production, the Hollywoods. Even just the other day, we saw a movie from Nigeria being sold to one of the content distributors in the States. Now, why have you gone to work with the Chinese government as compared to the U.S. government or the U.S. market as a whole? Because, when you think of the Chinese government, where the Chinese are involved, just think construction, not matters film and production.
So it's not in partnership with the Chinese government.
All right.
So what we're doing, and I think it needs to be very clear.
Yeah.
When film came back, we actually went around the world. Meeting different people. We went to Hollywood and spent a lot of time there. We went to Dubai, where there is also other things, and we went to China. China has one advantage. Last year, they had over 1 billion people go and watch movies. They actually sold 2.6 billion tickets for movies. And of those, they made about $10 billion just in the tickets. So it's a market that is large. So if you take a Kenyan film and it is shown there, even if it's 400 million people that watch that film, that's almost 10 times our population if every Kenyan watched. But likewise, Smart Africa, who I talked about before, the way we are creating a single digital market, right now it's about 600 million people. There's not as many theaters and so on. And you know the way technology is going, you have streaming services where you can actually watch movies. You know, YouTube, Netflix, and all these different ones. Hollywood, we have people. So what we are doing in this competition is not only working with China. We are working with all the different markets and making sure that we work with them. What the Chinese have done is they've said, look, we can, whatever scripts you come up with that are great, we can do co-production with you. And we'll allow you to actually access our market. So you find that last year, they only allowed 3 international films. It's a big battle because that's a big market. If everyone is paying, say, $10 to watch a movie, as in 1,000 shillings to watch a movie, and you get 400 million. 400 of that. It's the size of SGR, you know, some of the the amount of money that this
financing it as a whole.
Yeah, so the industry is big. So what we want to do is we want to partner with all these different people. They have said they will even give us support. They have equipment they can come and bring. We can do many things with them. So for us, we're not only picking China. In fact, you will see that we're working closely with even Korea. In fact, we have some of their people here in the country today.
In talks?
We have been in talks.
Okay.
Actually, with Korea, we're already looking at how we can expand some of the activities in Konza City to create a film city. So we're having a discussion already on that. We have people from Hollywood already who we are working with. They're coming to look at now these stories, these scripts, what can we actually take? What can we learn from Kenyans and actually produce? So we're not picking one, but we are open. Whoever comes first, we will work. It's, you know, so yes, they're able to do roads, they're able to do railways. Why not help us work with film?
As long as
but at the end of the
country.
day, yes, and it's our content,
Yes.
it's our people, and you know, last year they had 120 million tourists. 120, we did 2 million, and we did well.
Yes.
If we get just from them, even if it's the 20 million to come, that's 10 times the number of tourists we have right now. That will change the country. So I think we should not be caught up with politics of who's who. We should look at business.
And what we are gaining
and
as
how
a
we
country.
transform. Yeah.
All right. So now this script competition was launched in the past week.
Yes.
How can people even just sign up and take part in the competition in itself?
We'll be happy to know on a daily basis we're getting about 12 submissions.
And how
so
easy
far.
is it to even...
So today we're getting about 12 submissions
A day?
a day.
Yeah.
We're already at over 100.
On average, that is.
Yeah, that's on average. We're already at over 100. It closes on 26th of this month.
Yeah.
So we expect people are going to continue. And that's what I was saying. It's the KenyaFilmCommission.com website. So you go there, all the rules, they're there, then you can submit. Because it's not a big thing that someone is submitting. They submit their stories, and then now we'll go into the process of, the judges are yet to be published who they are. The Kenya Film Commission and the Kenya Film School are actually working on that.
Yeah.
This is their day-to-day activity and business. So we felt as a ministry we have to leave it to the experts.
Yes.
So they'll come up with the process. It's going to be open, it's going to be transparent. Everybody's going to see how this is done. We choose the films, the scripts, we go into more details, and eventually start producing the movies.
And what are we really looking for in these scripts? Those key factors that you're looking to get that, you know, that will determine this is worthy of production?
I think first we've been open. You give us what you think makes sense. As opposed to us thinking that we know, actually we are leaving it to the people.
But in terms of setting
give us
standards.
a script. But what we want, one, it needs to be a story that is understood globally. It can't be so local that no one even gets.
Only Kenyans understand.
Yeah, but it may even be locals that only people in Nyakacha understand, which
In
means
your
then,
village.
which means then the rest of the world doesn't.
Market,
so we want it to be international. You know, we want it to also be something positive, something edifying, something that says who we are as a country, as a continent. That's us bringing Kenya and Africa on the map, because a lot of the times that's not been the case. You look at what Wakanda has done with the Black Panther, you know, as a movie.
Set records.
It's taken us so far. And there's a lot of people who, you know, are from Africa. You know, even us, we are about 1.3 billion people in Africa. And Kenya being at the heart of Africa and being the cradle of mankind, this is where everything began. Then we have an opportunity to showcase some of that. I mean, you've got our wildlife, our diversity, our natural resources, all those. So, some, you know, a script that brings out all these things, but brings it with entertainment, brings it with fun and so on. Hey, we are open. And Kenyans are very creative. So we expect... we're going to see some really cool stuff coming out of that. Telling
the African story the way it should be told.
Yes.
You know, guys were complaining about the Black Panther movie. The pronunciation of some words wasn't right, because as Africans, we know how they're pronounced. But when they're in the American market, they don't know how to pronounce it properly. So, you know, from Africa, pronounce it properly. Now, of course, after doing all this scripting, putting in the hard work, the prize is to be won.
Right.
Tell us more about that.
So we researched as to normally how much do people get for writing scripts and so on. And it turned out that prize money of 1 million shillings is actually a significant amount in the industry today. So the winner gets 1 million.
The first position.
The first position.
Yeah.
The runner-up gets 500,000. Then number 3 gets 300,000. Then we have the student and also the youngest person, each getting 100,000. So it's a total of 2 million that we're starting with.
Yeah.
And you know, they must own the script, so you know, they can't take a story from somebody else. They must have the copyright of that. So we're making sure that they have access to KIPI, so that when they're even coming and presenting any of these ideas, they're their ideas, and therefore they are copyrighted. So that's the main package that we're putting. Of course, you then get visibility, people know about it, and it's my intention to ensure that we continue to publicize the importance of film and the fact that it's an area that business can also invest and make money.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons that we're doing this.
All right. And what's the age limit for, you know, the participants who are going to submit their scripts?
At the moment, the age limit is 18.
And over.
Okay, and over. But anyone below 18 needs to have a guardian or a parent who actually signs off for them. So we're not even limiting the age.
Yeah.
So if you're younger, still, if you're not 18 at the time of submission, then you must have a guardian or a parent, somebody who's going to represent you.
And you have regulations in place to just protect especially this category of minors.
Correct. And so most of those you will see them in the KenyaFilmCommission.com website. Yeah.
All right. Now, even you just mentioned China as a very fantastic and potential market.
Yes.
We're not just looking at the film industry for now. We're looking at the long-term plan, longevity plans. What more is being put in place to just ensure that that long-term plan for Kenya and building the film industry is going to just live on, not just now, but through and through time?
So the important thing is that, you know, yesterday I was speaking with some of the, I would say, media industry people. And you know, some of the discussions were, when we started, we used to consume almost 100% foreign content.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills 90210. if you look at all the
You
soaps,
watched those as well.
those were all the soaps that we used to watch, and everybody used to compete who can show this international stuff.
Yeah.
Now today, we've actually changed. Mother-in-laws, Jui, Papa Shirandula, Bitimbi, all these things have now really taken over and become key, and they drive who we are. If you listen, you know, for most radio stations, the vernacular stations are now the leading. They've taken over most of the space, which means we as Kenyans love our culture, we love our content. It's only that media has not been producing and providing that enough. I think we've seen that growing. We've even put laws where we are saying, you know, 40% local content. There's a big push to make it 60% local content, which I don't think is a problem, because everybody is moving in that direction. We need to start consuming a lot of our own movies. Right now we consume soaps from out there. Can we start building our own? So long term, we should be as proud the way we are proud of, you know, our local music. We're proud of, you know, a lot of the local content we produce. We want to see the same with film. Our presidents or heads of state have come together and said, look, we want to create a single market, digital market in Africa. The continental free trade area that they've been talking about, many countries are now ratifying, which means we're going to have even ourselves, our 1.3 billion people, where we can actually even sell our local movies and everybody will understand
on one platform.
What is. So long term, we must not only be reliant on the rest of the world, we must be players ourselves, but of course we must consume with everybody. So we sell Africa, we sell Kenya, and the tourists will come, we'll also go visit. So we are a big player in the world. So long term, we're going to be part of the global contribution to film in a big way. We are contributing now with the Lupitas and so on. But now we need to be putting the blockbusters there ourselves.
Yeah. And in terms of, you know, just looking at the policies and regulations in place, just looking from the events of last year, when in banning of certain contents that are deemed not morally upright, but they are produced in Kenya by Kenyans, for Kenyans, and some industry stakeholders were saying that, you know, banning of such content may be a hindrance towards the progress in building the film industry as a whole. What are your thoughts on that?
So one, I think if you go to the truth, actually nobody was banned. They didn't get the license because they didn't fulfill. They gave one story, but submitted something different. And when they were questioned about it, they went international to make them. So I don't want to adjudicate on that. We're not in the business of banning movies. We're not in the business of banning content. We have a very clear law. The law says this is what is illegal in Kenya, this is what is illegal. So long as we meet and fit within that framework, we will continue to grow, we will continue to expand. I don't think there's any part even where the president has indicated that we want to limit any of the creativity and innovation that we have in our country. So for film and even for content, nobody should feel that there is anything that we're trying to do to limit. Just stick within the law and we're fine.
Stick within the law and you're fine.
Kabisa.
The policies are meant to just make sure business is running properly?
We're in the process of finalizing the policy in cabinet, the film policy. This one now is looking at what are the incentives that need to be provided, how are we going to ensure we're creating those jobs, that we're bringing in business for people. So you see, like right now, for a lot of the advertisement, they go out and film it outside the country. They don't pay taxes. If you film in Kenya, you have to pay taxes, which means it makes the Kenyan ones much more unattractive.
Yeah.
We want to change that. We want to make sure that doing it in Kenya is actually more attractive. So this film policy, we're pushing, and hopefully in the next month or so, we'll actually have the policy in place that will attract investment, but will also promote local productions, so that then people are benefiting from that.
Now, in this scriptwriting competition, telling the Kenyan culture and the African culture is very key and essential in just building the film industry, not just here, but in the world over.
Correct.
So how is that the whole aspect of the Kenyan culture being incorporated, even as these different scriptwriters come together to do a fantastic job and write the scripts, but as a ministry, how are you incorporating the Kenyan culture and just putting it out there in the map?
I think, you know, it's happening already.
Yeah.
We as Kenya are proud when we see our runners out there. They run and we see our flag being flown. I've just come from Addis Ababa, the African Union, and I can tell you, you know, our president represents Kenya really, really well. He's our #1 ambassador.
Ambassador.
So, and the things that Kenya loves and the things that Kenya is are coming out, you know, a lot. So what's important is we as a country have to be proud of our own things. That's why in this competition, we're expecting that we will see what are Kenyans proud of, what do Kenyans actually want to show. There are many, even there's a governor who was just telling me about scripts that he himself has, that he wants to see published. So there's a lot of interest.
From the people within the county?
He's passionate about film.
Yeah.
So it's not just from people within the county, it's just for him. The film is key. You will see, this is Laikipia. You have also Machakos. So many of these people, even within government, are very keen. Although now anyone within the Ministry of ICT and all these film schools, none of them can submit scripts. This, obviously it's a competition, and so they are excluded. But we're going to see some really interesting stories, and we've started with the stories. Let's see what they will bring. The ones, obviously, that bring out the best in us will probably be the ones that win. I'm not going to be a judge, so I can't tell, but I hope that the judges will pick the ones that bring out the best in us.
And of course, in the spirit of building the Kenyan film industry, also open to all these other international platforms that offer that platform for our film producers to just put their content out there.
We've been in discussions.
Yeah.
Netflix have been here. I mean, Sense8 and other similar have been done even here in Kenya.
Yeah.
And they're already on those platforms. I mean, you look at YouTube, we have a lot of content. While I was at Google before, I was involved in setting up the Collection Society deals for YouTube across the continent. And the content that came out, I mean, Nigeria with Nollywood really has huge amounts of film produced on a daily basis compared to anywhere else in the world. So in fact, as we speak today, you have the Chinese market, the Indian market being #1, the Chinese market being #2.
Yeah.
Then you have Hollywood #3. And after that, it's Nollywood. So the competition is there, and you know, we must get Kenya on the map as well.
Riverwood needs to be there.
Yes.
And just speaking of Nigeria, yes, they do. They're both on both ends of the spectrum. Some poor productions and some fantastic productions. So what would you think, you know, the film industry here in Kenya needs to do in terms of even the quality of production? Because just looking at this film from Nigeria, it's called Lionheart.
Yeah.
It was bought by Netflix. Such a fantastic deal that Genevieve got for doing such a fantastic production. And she put in the work, the good quality, the research. So what do you think the film industry stakeholders need to do here in Kenya to just help themselves even in the first place?
So we need to be careful how we look at this. Today, it's not that film is not consumed. We've got those small film places everywhere in the country. You know, there are thousands of them where you go pay 20 shillings and you can watch you can watch movies for the whole day. You just sit there with
5 shillings per movie.
Yes, and you just continue to watch.
Yeah.
So we've got those citizens. who enjoy watching in that format. You have others who are watching IMAX, 3D, and so on and so forth. So film has to be cross-cutting. My experience in the industry has been that we have now multiple screens. You have Viewsasa and others on the mobile phone.
Yeah.
There are those of us who watch everything, even TV, on our laptop because everything is being streamed there. Others are watching the actual TV and so on. So people are in all different places, including the theater. So there's going to be a place for everybody. The market is large enough in each way. Quality is important, but we don't want to sometimes say that the quality is only for blockbusters and for people out there.
Yeah.
There are people who just want to watch at home and they want to actually watch their own local production. So we're going to be in the whole spectrum, just ensuring everybody has something. But as a country, we must produce blockbusters. We must compete with the best in the world. Many big Hollywood movies that have won have been filmed here also. So we want to make sure we are going to be telling the stories and we're part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And telling it proudly.
Of
All
course,
right,
we
as
must.
Kenyans. All right, remember you can talk to us. You can, if you have any questions for the CS here, please feel free to send them in. We will be sampling them as they come in. The hashtag to use on social media is Good Morning Kenya, and our official station handle at KBC Channel 1, my personal handle at Jane Wamboy, and of course at Ramaguko and at Ray Manyara. Now let's just, you said the competition will be closing on the 25th of this month? 26th.
Yes.
And the winner will be announced?
Before or around April 26th.
In April.
Yeah.
So up until the 25th opening, the website is open for submissions.
It's open for submissions, yes.
So go ahead and drop those scripts. You never know. This might just be that opportunity that you have been looking forward to. There's no age restriction. If you are under 18, you need consent from your parents or your guardian to just be able to take part in this competition. Now, let's just quickly go to matters now that concern the ICT and the nation as such. Now, ICT is integral in every part of the Kenyan economy, and even in the services that we offered, especially in government offices. But you find that when you go to most of the government offices, yes, there is progress made, but there's still so much trouble when you want to just get services. A place like Huduma, sometimes you might go there and the servers are completely down. A place like Nyayo House, just trying to get your passport is such a hassle. What is the ICT ministry doing to just help in streamlining and making all these services more effective, more efficient for the common mwananchi?
So again, thank you. This is a great question. And thank you that you said that actually we've made progress.
Yes.
Because a lot of progress has been made. We've invested significantly on the infrastructure. So you'll find downtimes are more or less gone for Huduma centers. Huduma is now part of everyday life. It is not going away. So we have invested and we're working in collaboration with the other ministries to make sure that these services never go down.
Yeah.
We have both the physical spaces that you would go to in the Huduma Center as well as online, where you have the e-citizen platform that you can actually use. Yes, there are some places where there's teething problems, maybe in payment or maybe in the processing, but we are working very hard to make sure we are more efficient, but at the same time we expand so that we have more Huduma centers covering the whole country, so that everybody at one point should be walking distance from a
because you
Huduma
find
center.
situations where you have to wake up like an hour earlier to just queue at least you get service during the first half of the day.
But actually the queues are moving a lot faster. There's a lot of improvement. The Ministry of Public Service that's working with the Huduma centers has really invested. And they've worked with us very closely. So it's improved significantly, and we're following. So you will see that continue. Yes, there are cases where it's not as efficient, it's not as fast, but it's not the general position. Even in terms of issuance of passports, there was some complaints. I had seen that in media, and then we discussed with the Interior, and we went and we looked at what are the processes, what are the issues.
You actually saw there's a problem?
A lot of streamlining has been done.
Yeah.
We've opened more counters. We've done many more things to ensure that service to the citizens is number one. We're going to transform Kenya. And this is the one thing that gets to the president, and he reads the right act for us, that, you know, citizens come first. You must give them these services. And so we are ensuring that that is happening. Yeah.
What about the whole cost of just accessing ICT services? You find that in say, mashinani areas, that elderly woman might be needing to get something online, but she's not able to just have that direct access to a technical platform due to the costs that are involved, even in just buying bundles on a daily. the costs that are involved in just trying to get access to these technological advancements that are there in the country?
So today, you will find the cost of internet is cheaper. You know, if you want unlimited internet per day, if you go calculate the bundles, it's actually cheaper than a bottle of water. So as a country, we're competing very hard with the rest of the world in terms of quality. So we have amongst the best quality in the world. In Africa, we are second to none in terms of our speed. And it's not me saying this. This has been published by people who do these studies. These are facts that exist. During election time, people tried to question it, but it came out clear, you know, from the international community that we have really invested heavily in the infrastructure. So our costs are fairly low compared to the rest of the world. It's only that the incomes of people are not always as high, and therefore you will always find somebody who will find it expensive. But we've made sure that because of competition, now you've seen even Airtel and Telcom are coming together to create more competition. This competition is reducing the price, and most of the people are moving to data. So you have 4G now covering most major towns in the country. 2G, we are at 99% coverage in the country. So I believe we're working hard to make sure that the services are available. As government ourselves, with the Ajira digital program, we're creating constituency innovation hubs. We've already done over 100 such where you have free Wi-Fi. We intend to have over 1,160.
And this free Wi-Fi is actually working?
It is working, yes. I have gone and I've tested.
You know,
is
the
working.
places you go and this Wi-Fi is they're just bars, but when you try to load something, it's just telling you no internet connection.
No, it would depend, check whether it is an Ajira one or not. Because the Ajira ones, we have a team whose job is to make sure that they are all working. In some places, they are oversubscribed. So you'll go and actually you'll find so many people are using, and we're looking at making sure we expand. So we put enough capacity for about 100, 200 people, but there are places where you're finding it's actually more devices than you even imagine. Each person has come with one or two of them. They have a laptop, they have a phone, and so all that is being taken into account. But as we expand, we're going to make sure we have the capacity. I had the team from the ministry visit Djibouti, visit Fujairah in Dubai, the UAE, where we have bandwidth. So right now we have 80 gig of capacity on our Teams network, which we have to now distribute across the country. So we have infrastructure being built and stabilizing it so that this issue of contested bandwidth disappears. We remain a digital government, a digital country in providing all the services.
And Kenya remains the hub,
yes.
East African hub.
It's the only way we'll do it.
And Africa as a whole.
Correct.
All right, remember we are using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter, and I just quickly want to go over to the other side of the studio. We have Ram on the smart board to just let us know what you guys are saying and asking from home. So Ram?
Thank you very much. Let's take a look at what Kenyans are saying on our social media platforms. Some are questions, some are comments, and we believe that this CS will be able to answer and give his comments concerning this. One person is saying, as a filmmaker in Kenya, I feel so oppressed by the film fee charges to shoot films locally, and also the film policies ain't doing your right. One can't even invest in local film. Right?
As it is, feeling oppressed, can't invest in the local film. Take it.
It's that, I would say that is the feeling. When they look at the actual facts, Subira, we just launched Subira. There's many films that are coming out of here, even Sense8 was being done here. So, so it's not that there's nothing going on in the country. We have sat with the industry, we've looked at those issues, we are reviewing them. Yes, you go to some counties, you're charged at the national level and different places. So we've reviewed a lot of those, and we're going to make it easier. But I think at the end of the day, people need to invest and people need to get involved. Some of these levies and fees actually help in providing. So for instance, when a county takes the levies, they will ensure they provide you with the security, so that when you're out there filming, doing all these things, there is someone providing that. So it cannot just be provided for free, but it has to be reasonable. There can't be all this double taxation. You're bringing in equipment, you have to pay. And so you find out that right now people lease equipment even from South Africa. So we've seen all the challenges, but we are taking care of those. Within the next month or so, once the policy is in place, I think they will feel better.
don't you think there need to be like meetings, that meeting with the industry stakeholders to just help them understand that this is what you feel, but this is what is on ground, so that you're both on the same page? Because yes, they're complaining, and here you are saying all these things are put in place.
No, I've not said they're put in place. I've said we've sat, we've gone through, we've had the discussions, we've deliberated, and now we're putting now the policy in place in cabinets. We've had meetings with them. We've had, I think, 3 stakeholder discussions. They've had actually many. Since 2006, they've been having many different discussions, and the policy hasn't changed. We've assured them that these are things we're going to push very hard and will be happening soon. But we needed to hear from them what were those challenges.
Okay.
And so we are looking at the levies, we're looking at the taxation, but we're also looking at, you know, what is ailing the industry? Why are people taking business outside? Trying to deal with all those things. So we're dealing with all of them together, harmonizing the tariffs so that now if you've paid in Nairobi County, national government is also not charging, and then you want to go film in one street, you pay, another street you have to pay each one. There's some complications.
To just streamline all that.
So all that is being streamlined. And again, we have to work at the county levels. So it's not something that we can just put a switch and it's immediately
everything
solved.
is sorted.
But that's not to say that things are not working. Films are being produced. And some are even competing, winning. You know, if you look at Mucheru, the kind of films that have come out of there, they went to Nigeria and won the top prizes. These are films from mashinani kabisa hapa. So they're working. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Yes, my director Ben is very proud hearing of Mucheru. Ram, what more is the public saying on social media?
That's quite interesting there. With regards to film levies and fees, we still have a comment here, but now with regards to reduction. He's saying, will your ministry reduce the cost of shooting permits?
We will review what is the right fee. I think there are very many permits that people need to get. We'll just want to streamline so that you have one permit.
Collective.
And that permit, what you're paying for will give you the services that you require, because you want security.
For the entire shoot.
Yes, whatever it is that you're doing. So the cost of permits is going to reduce for sure, because right now there are very many, but they're not going to be totally eliminated. Because again, it's a service that you need to be given. So revenues are required.
Is a requirement.
Yes.
All right, Ram, do we have any more?
All right, we still have more. Remember, people are sending in lots of tweets, and I don't know if you can be able to address them all. We have one here saying, the local film industry has unexploited potential. And I'll connect it with another that says, what measures are you putting in place to nurture young talents in the script writing field?
Well, we've started with the competition
in itself,
because we're going to actually find people. We're already creating the awareness that actually we have skills, we have the opportunity for people to now see, look at all these scripts, and people can begin to invest in those. People will be seen and brought out. So we've started in that area where we're looking at the stories, and then now we can expand to all the other things. And it will create the awareness. We've talked about, we have a film school, so that is available for people to go and learn. KIMC is also, this is the Kenya Institute of Mass Communication. It's also a place you can go and be trained and learn things to do with film. As I mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that also in the universities, in schools, TVETs, we're actually going to see film also included, so that it's going to be part of our culture, part of everything we do in terms of film, not only consuming from out. So there's a lot that we're looking at. And hopefully people will be seeing this implemented step by step.
Step by step.
Correct.
And this is definitely, the script writing competition is the first big step that is being taken towards building that. Now, let's just, we will be continuing with your social media feedback, so keep them coming in. We absolutely appreciate them. The hashtag remains hashtag Good Morning Kenya and at KBC Channel 1. Ram, you will be back to give us some more?
All right, we'll be back to give you more tweets because there are lots of them. Remember, as Jana said, the hashtag Good Morning Kenya at KBC Television, at Jane Ombui, and at Ram Aguko. Social media feedback, still lots in, that are coming out. So, Jane, we'll come back later on. Back to you.
All right, fantastic. So keep them coming in. Mheshimiwa appreciates them as well.
Yes, for sure.
All right, so now let's just quickly look at now ICT in relation to now the education system here in Kenya. The digital literacy program. What's the status so far in terms of even equipping the teachers with the technical skills that they need to transfer all these ICT skills onto the children?
So let me say first, from a ministry perspective, we have delivered the devices.
And what devices are
that
these
were required.
specifically?
These are the tablets.
Yeah.
Then there's the teachers' devices. These have all been delivered. We have about 2,000 schools that didn't receive. One, either it's a security issue or they didn't have infrastructure that was required. But before the end of this financial year, they will all have been delivered. The second thing is that we work closely with the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD. And for standard 1, 2, and 3, content was produced and actually put in the digital cloud, which the education cloud, which many of the kids actually consumed that content much faster than was expected. We also trained over 95,000 teachers. So that is the work that we had set out to do, and we accomplished that work. But then many of the other teachers said, why are we training only the standard 1 and 2 teachers?
This 90,000 is for that first group, grade 1 to 3.
Yes, that group that we needed, that we were providing for.
Rollout.
The rest of the teachers said, no, we also must be trained. We want to become digital, which is right. So the Ministry of Education has been working to make sure there's budget so that we can actually train the teachers. These teachers who were trained have now exhausted their training. They want to be trained even more. So it's a program that is growing, it's ongoing, it's not a one-off program. So it's continuous, and therefore the demand for more is there, and we're working towards making sure that that is provided. We've obviously had the 100% transition even in secondary schools where it's free education. So there's a lot of requirement in investment, both in the new curriculum, in digital. So the minister is working hard with Treasury to make sure that budgets are made available so that all the trainings that are required and the digitization is done. I'll add by saying that we also made sure that as we tendered for this equipment, that it was done with local consortia. Jomo Kenyatta University, Moi University are the two that won with their manufacturers. So we now have skills of assembling these devices here. We have skills both in Jomo Kenyatta and in Moi University, and now we want to even go into manufacturing them so that they're going to be affordable and they can be made available to the whole school system. So it's a program that is ongoing. It's a long-term project. It's a long-term vision that the president has to make sure that as a whole country we're going to be digital. So at the university level, at standard 1 level, the work is going on well.
And maybe what is the biggest challenge that is the rolling out is facing so far?
I would say the biggest challenge was initially getting the manufacturing done on time. That has been done. Now is that everybody wants to access and use the devices. In fact, in some of the schools, the parents are saying the students learn in the morning, the parents be taught in the afternoon. They don't know, because they also want to become digital. So I think it's the demand, and we don't have sufficient resources to provide for everybody all that is required, and especially in providing all the training that is required for all the teachers. So a lot of budget needs to be made available to make that happen, and I would say that's the main constraint, because now the demand is huge. When we started, people were saying we don't need this thing. Now they all need, which is it's a better problem to have, because then as a country we're not being left behind digitally. We're competing with the rest of the world.
And speaking of leaving a different category behind, given that we're targeting the children, is it all inclusive even for children who are living with disabilities?
Yes.
How are they accommodated?
We have, I can't remember the exact number, but we have at least 2% of the devices are for people living with disabilities.
Tailored to just assistive devices.
Yes. Braille-based tablets. We have all that put in place. We've been working with Enable. These are they're a charity that works in the space for the blind. We've worked with them, so we've got many of those schools in place already.
And these devices, you are sure that they have actually gotten to these schools?
I have used one. I've actually seen those. Yes.
And they're fully functional.
They're functional. Now, whether they're being used on a day-to-day basis, the Ministry of Education is the one that's now checking on usage. Ours is supplying the technology. All right. Fantastic. So we do hope that we just see more progress and the teachers' plight is addressed in terms of just helping them learn this whole digital scope of
these devices. Now, let's just quickly move on to now the Big Four agenda in relation to ICT. Last year from the ICT conference, ICT week, that you did say that ICT plays an integral role when it comes to achieving the Big Four agenda. In terms, let's now just break it down, the different four agendas. Health, how is IT just helping progress towards achieving universal healthcare?
Let's start with the registration of every Kenyan, so that every Kenyan gets a Huduma number. I think in the wisdom of the Ministry of Interior, they're starting on 15th of February.
Yeah.
I think they're leaving Valentine's Day for people to relax. But from 15th of February, there's about 10 pilot counties where registration of all citizens will actually begin. So they will take fingerprints and a photograph. There is no like DNA or all these things that people are talking about.
Which we'll be getting to.
Yeah, there's no such thing as DNA.
Yeah.
It's the biometrics of fingerprints and a photograph. And it's fingerprints, not even
the whole palm.
The whole palm. It's just fingerprints. And the idea is that when you, if you look at the health sector, health is devolved. So now, if you're in Turkana, then the Turkana county government takes care of your health. If you're in Makueni, the same thing. And each of them, they are trying to do their own healthcare.
Yeah.
With universal healthcare, it means if you've come from Turkana, you should be able to go to Makueni, get a service, and they will do the accounting in the back.
And they have your information.
And because we've registered you biometrically and you're known, then it will be very easy for you to go anywhere in the country and you're actually provided. People have been asking, so why are you doing the biometrics universally? Because people already have IDs. But this is universal healthcare. So if you're below 18, you have no ID. So what are you going to use? So we are giving a unique number. It's called a Huduma number. And that Huduma number is the one that you'll now use across all the health centers to be able to access services. Tunakupatia Huduma. That is why we're calling it a Huduma number. So you'll have a service number which you can use. Your records will be with you wherever it is that you go. And health-wise, then we can take care of you. We'll have the right information. When you arrive, maybe you arrive from an accident and you can't talk. Your biometrics will identify who you are and you are quickly taken care of and people are informed. So that's one of the things we're doing for health. So obviously, providing the infrastructure, connectivity to all the health centers, making sure we have the right data centers, the right software and infrastructure to manage an electronic medical record that you use is going to be there in the background. It's not what people will really see, but it will make it very efficient. Yeah.
So this, with coming up of this new Huduma number, it'll mostly benefit those who are under 18 because that's be the easiest way to identify them. Because now looking at those who are over 18 have IDs, some have DLs, passports, now with the e-passports and all that, just to identify one person.
Jane, at the moment, you will find somebody with their NHIF card. They have very many illnesses which were not theirs because they gave the card to another person who went. You'll find even in some cases some men have given birth because the people are sharing these IDs. People are sharing these cards.
So the problem comes in the misuse.
But biometrically, you can't be somebody else. So your records are going to be your records. You can't be sharing. So there is also misuse that is not helpful to people because you end up being given medication that maybe is not for you because you had given your brother or your sister to go and use your own card. So now your card, your records, everything is going to be safe and you'll be given service. That's why you must have a Huduma number. So
one of the main reasons is just to root out that misuse that is there from the public.
Correct.
But also you find situations, say your spouse has a condition that his card or her card cannot be able to take care of and can be taken care of by yours. How now will you be able to help your spouse given that they cannot use your card?
You know, your card is your card and it's been given to you. So if you look at the universal healthcare, the process that has been put in place, then everybody is being taken care of in their different ways. What you're talking about here in Ukarabati Kidogo, where you're trying to now scheme an insurance service, where you're using a different one. So no, that's the plan is we as government should then look at what are the policies that need to be done to make sure we're taking care of everybody as they are, instead of it being hidden. It will also help the private sector because healthcare is not only government, it's actually everybody. But more importantly, a healthy nation is really
It's
important.
a thriving nation.
And if we don't make sure that people are taken care of, that we have your records and we're taking care of you, providing what is required, then we're always getting the wrong information and therefore treating the wrong things. This will help us streamline. So the Huduma number is to make sure you're getting the best possible service. And it can be used to trace back to say, I came here, I asked for service, I didn't get. The records will be there. So it also begins to create openness, transparency, and these things of corruption begin to disappear because you're on record that you came. Now, if you're not given service, it's very clear. So we can come and say, you logged in at this time, you were recorded at this time, we've given an SLA that you must get either your passport by this time, you must get medical treatment by this time. If you haven't, then we know who we are going to ask. And this is the whole process of digitization.
Okay.
So it's a very important step in being able to ensure we identify everyone.
Yeah.
Again, why should people be like birds? Birds don't have identity. They don't have... With a unique number, your own Huduma number, you're not now just like an animal or a bird. Now you are a real human. You are a citizen.
You can be traced to
yes,
the ground.
and you can demand services as guaranteed to you in the Constitution.
All right.
Yeah.
So we do hope that that actually rolls out the way it is expected to.
It will. And
everything goes according to plan.
God willing, it will go according to plan, and we will actually move Kenya in leaps and bounds. You know, at the AU where I was with the president of Estonia was saying, first of all, without a digital ID, you're doing nothing for your citizens. People must have a digital ID because that's how you will give them the services they need. That's how they'll be identified. That's how they will be able to come and demand the services they need. So Estonia, which is, I would say, arguably the most digital country in the world, their president was talking to our presidents in Africa at the AU and really pushing that, you know, registration and identification of citizens is number one, because then all the other services build on that. The same thing will happen when we're looking at housing. We're talking 500,000 homes. The demand of these homes is over 4 or 5 million. So how are we going to pick who are the people to get this? The last thing we want is for it to be politicized, that now it's going to be only for a certain clique, a certain few that are going to actually benefit from this. Far from it. We have to identify who are these people. They are going to be put into a lottery so that then they select. Every county is going to have about, to begin with, over 2,000 houses. So in each county, then you will have a lottery for the people that are eligible to be able to get access to those houses. It needs to be open, transparent. Without technology, that will not be the case. Without us knowing who you are, it will not be the case. So we need to be able to identify the people. We need to be able to identify their level of income, their level of standards, so that do they qualify or not. Because again, you don't want, you know, in some cases, people who already have homes to be the first beneficiaries of this program. More homes. Yeah, so being able to identify everybody and have their data is critical to be able to ensure that that is taken care of.
All right.
Making sure we're giving the right farmers fertilizer. We need to know who they are. So you're not giving fertilizer to a fish farmer because they say they're a farmer, then they're getting fertilizer, and then they take, you know, there are all these issues you've been seeing. So technology is at the heart of making sure we do this right, we do it openly, and that citizens benefit rightly for these services. As they should. Correct.
Ram Aguko, made away you are on standby on the other side of studio. What are Kenyans saying? All right, let me just sample 3 more tweets here. As the Ministry of ICT, what measures are private persons securing are there to making sure that personal data acquired by private communication companies are protected?
Great question. We're in the final stages of the draft Privacy and Data Protection Bill. This bill has been discussed in Senate, has been discussed in Parliament, but we took it and we have done a lot of work with the stakeholders. We are in the final stages of presenting this to Cabinet, which will then take it to the National Assembly, and after that will be passed as a law. It's actually late. We should have done this long before, but we decided we're going to take time and do the best possible data protection, because government protects data. Through the constitution, through many laws, government is required to protect, but private sector is not obliged in the same way. So this act or this bill is looking at what are the rules that we're going to put in place. When you go into a new building or a building and you're visiting someone, they're asking for your ID, they're asking for your phone numbers and so on. Is this information then protected? You know, what we call personally identifiable information, PII. That's really critical. When you've gone to a hospital, are your medical records protected? Are your judicial and police records protected? All this is taken into account in this bill. It's available on our website, also on the Communications Authority website. And Kenyans can still look at it. It will go to the National Assembly and we'll have again public participation involved. So there's still some time, but we hope within the next few months this will be a law and it will be in place because everybody wants it and is demanding for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Ram, do we have any more questions on social media?
All right. One is saying, thanks for providing internet to various secondary schools. But in most times, it's not working. Please, CS, address this issue.
Yes, there has been some problems in places where we have provided, say, via satellite. And we have seen that some of the providers have not been providing it according to the SLA, which is why I was saying we have a team together with Telecom Kenya, who is one of our vendors. We're going and making sure that now we're measuring the usage in each of the centers and holding the suppliers accountable in making sure that the services are up and running throughout. In some cases, because of road construction, some of the fiber has been cut. We've quickly gone into repair. You will see that many of the private companies have also been complaining about cuts and many of these things. So many people working together and not coordinated enough, so you get cables being cut. But we have put a team together that is looking at the uptime. Okay. And that whole infrastructure, there is a bill that's coming for protection of infrastructure. This is going to be very important to ensure that they're put under also security, so that these services that are so key are not cut and people are not aware of taking care of this thing. Yeah.
All right. That is it so far on social media, Ram?
So far, so good. We just have someone saying we should encourage young minds to venture into professional filming. And another one saying we should, we should give the prizes are up for grabs and we are in for the take. Thank you very much. Remember, keep the tweets coming in on our social media platforms. The hashtag to use is Good Morning Kenya at KBC Television, at Jane Ombui, and at Ram Maguko. On my side, on social media, it's a wrap, but keep tweeting.
All right. Keep them coming back. And just as we bring the conversation to an end, just the other day we did see the CJA talk about how technology plays such an integral role in the fight against corruption. What is the ministry doing in terms of making this a reality?
Excellent. So let me say first, the CJA is very open, has been working closely with the president to make sure, everyone says judiciary is independent, so how do we as the executive now engage with them? Yeah. I think working with the president, they have really ensured that we have a free rein in how we're going to make sure we are working together to provide technology. The dream and vision that is in place that the CJA is saying is that somebody is reported in the police station, a file is created with an electronic occurrence book, the OB. Yeah. That file is what will then be passed to the judiciary if there's charges, criminal charges. That is the file that is now used electronically. It is processed. We are looking at how we even provide transcription services for the case being heard. Yeah. So even as it's recorded, somebody will transcribe so that the judge has everything that is already documented, printed, so that things move a lot faster. And then you're able to provide very efficient, very transparent, very open services through the judiciary. The CJ, pleased, is really committed to making this happen. So we're in the process of actually beginning to implement this. We're seeking for the budget, but the commitment to make it happen is going to be there. Judiciary is an important part of of the scheme of things that we do in a country, just as media is and the executive and parliament. So we will be digitizing, and we're glad that we have the openness and commitment from the CJ as well.
Is there a time frame in mind that has been set in terms of just making this actually get things moving?
Right now, it's actually, we are just getting the budget approved so that we can start within the next month. As I mentioned,
as soon as the next month, things
yes,
should be
so
moving.
we had already gone out to tender.
Yeah.
So by the end of this month, we should have already closed those tenders and begun implementation.
All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we do hope that actually it works and things become as they should.
We want it to work. The fight against corruption cannot happen if we're not making the judiciary more efficient.
All right.
Great.
All right. So as we wind up the conversation, today is the United Nations World Radio Day. And as you know it, radio is one of the oldest mediums of communication that we have here in Kenya and the world over. So what would be your message to the general public as we celebrate the radio, this invention that is the radio?
I would first of all say that this invention has lasted time. Because today, radio is still number one. It has more than 100% penetration compared to all other mediums.
All other forms, yeah.
And radio now is not only expanded, but it's also now fragmenting into the vernacular stations. People are going all the way now vernacular, they're going now religious, they're going business. So radio is a great place. And we've seen that the mobile phones have even come now with the radio as part of it. I think we continue to embrace radio. It is here to stay. This morning I was listening to radio even in the UK, just on streaming. So radio is everywhere.
Yeah.
And let's keep talking, let's keep listening to each other, let's keep communicating and learning all about our different cultures. Because radio is at the heart of this, and we'll continue to support it as a country. I think we have over 173 radio stations and counting.
Fantastic. So
Great.
as you celebrate World Radio Day, remember it's the oldest medium of communication that there has been, that has left a footprint in the sands of time, and it's still living through, of course, helping in the freedom of expression, equality, and just, spreading love and unity as a nation. So what will be your parting shots to the nation as we wind up the conversation?
That Kenya is blessed. So we spent time at the African Union and listened to many of the different countries, their demands, their needs.
Yeah.
And I would say we are in a great position as a country. We're blessed. We must take advantage of that. We must work together to build this nation, starting with ourselves. Let's see what we can actually do, take care of our neighbors, and just grow.
Even as we celebrate Valentine's tomorrow.
Correct.
All right. Thank you so much, Mishima, for making time to be with us this morning.
Yep.
Yes, we have been speaking with the Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and Technology, Mr. Joe Mucheru, in regards to the script writing competition that is happening. If you are a script writer, go ahead and jump on board. The submission is open up until the 25th of this month. So submit those scripts. Your age doesn't matter. If you are under 18, you need consent from your guardian. So just go ahead and get it and submit that script. You never know, this might be the opportunity that you're looking for just to be able to build the film industry here in Kenya. Well, I think with that, we want to wrap up today's show. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Kenya. Remember, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and as KBC, we have a fantastic package just for you. All you have to do is just share with us your worst Valentine's experience using the hashtag Valentines with KBC, and you never know, you might just be the one who gets to walk away with the fully paid getaway package to the Panari Resort in Nyahururu to just enjoy Valentine's, have some peace, some downtime with your loved one. And you could also be one of the 4 couples that will win 4 dinner vouchers courtesy of KBC in partnership with the Panari Hotel. So keep sharing those stories. Remember, using the hashtag Valentines with KBC. And with that, we want to put a cap on today's discussion. Thank you so much for being with us through and through the hours. My name is Jane Mamboy. Remember to join us again tomorrow right here from 6 a.m. all through to 10 a.m. It's a wrap from my end. Ram?
I just take this time to wish our CS a happy Valentine's. God bless you. See you tomorrow 6 a.m. for Good Morning Kenya. My name is Ram Aguko.
All right.
Asanteni sana.